Hi friends, Pastor Doug here with this week's edition of Teaching Tuesday. This week we're taking a look at the ministry of spiritual direction. You may not be familiar with spiritual direction, so let me take just a moment or two of our time today and help you become more familiar with this ministry. Back in 2017, I started my training as a spiritual director at North Park Theological Seminary in Chicago. I met with a small group of folks over the course of 3 years, and together we learned what it means to be spiritual directors. You see, a spiritual director is someone who is trained in the ministry of listening. All too often we confuse listening and hearing. I can hear you talking, but I may not really be listening to what you say. And so listening, in this case, is a time for you sitting in this chair across from me to tell me your story, what's on your heart and in your thoughts these days. And we do so not only in my presence, but in the presence of God, indicated by not only this empty chair, but by the lit candle here. We are reminded that God is present in the midst of those conversations. God is listening to you tell your story, just as I am listening to you tell your story. Also, I'm listening to what God might say to me in terms of questions that you might need to hear. So as you tell your story, I might ask some very open-ended questions that help you go deeper into the story and what it means to you, how you have experienced that story, and how you have interpreted that story and the way it has impacted your life. And so spiritual direction is not counseling. I'm not here to give you all the answers. I'm here to help you discover the answers in your story. You see, I believe that your story is meaningful, and that as I truly listen to your story, not trying to respond to it, but trying to truly hear you and listen to your story, that there are insights that begin to emerge. And by asking you some open-ended questions, we can get you to go deeper into that story and to see how God has been at work in the midst of that story when you might have missed that kind of an interaction to begin with as you were going through it. Over 3 years, I learned how to listen, and to listen well, to ask questions that allow you to listen and listen well. And so I invite you to attend at some point in time this ministry of listening, to allow your story to be heard by myself or another trained spiritual director, to see what God might say to you in the midst of those stories. And so if you have questions, feel free to give me a call, drop me a text or an email. See me here at church. But friends, spiritual direction is for anyone and everyone, whether it's done as an individual or in a small group. We can hear God anew through our stories. So take care, friends. I look forward to hearing your stories, whether it's in spiritual direction or just as we gather here at church. Take care. Have a great week. See you next week in another episode of Teaching Tuesdays.